Today on Hello Nintendo, we'll be discussing the new Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Direct, Hulu, and a bunch of big-name games that are coming out, as well as continue talking about the game nobody's talking about, the new Ace Attorney game for the Nintendo Switch.
Hello, Nintendo!
Welcome and enter the center of my Super Mario adventure. My girl's trapped on the other side of town, so I'm moving in leaps and bounds. Folks around my way think I'm strange, but there's a villain to blame. Even my mom, she thinks I'm crazy, but I got to rescue Daisy.
Hello, Nintendo!
Hello everyone, I'm your host Amog, aka Cast Starman, and joining me today are Alec, aka the Scottish Lion,
Hello, everybody.
and Brooks, aka the Poochie Kid.
Hey there.
Thanks for joining me, guys. Alright, let's get right into it. What games have you guys been playing this week? Alec, let's start with you.
Yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to play a lot of games, but I recently opened up Animal Crossing again after about 3 or 4 months of not playing it. Surprisingly, none of my villagers moved, and I had a perfect town when I restarted. I don't know what happened, but I'll take it. So I've been playing a little bit of Animal Crossing. I guess the recent Animal Crossing Pocket Camp game inspired me to pull out my 3DS again.
Ooh, so are you the kind of guy that plays for a little while, goes months without playing, leaving your village to rot, and then just restarts them?
No, not at all. Actually, I try to play at least once a week to keep my villagers, to have them stay and to keep the town looking nice. And I just got so busy that I just wasn't playing any games at all. So the opportunity didn't present itself, and then I jumped back in. I'm actually very meticulous about my village. I've taken the time to design it, make the pretty paths, lay out, plant gardens and stuff.
Alright. And
Wow.
I know that there are different sort of town ordinances you can do in Animal Crossing, right?
Yeah, and mine would be the keep town beautiful, I think that's what it's called, and it prevents weeds and keeps the flowers from dying, which can be a problem because then your town doesn't get overrun with weeds, but everywhere is a flower.
Right. Well, that makes sense, and hopefully they put on an Animal Crossing game on the Switch soon, because, I don't know, I'd rather not pull out my 3DS again for the time being.
I wouldn't be surprised if one comes out next year.
You think so? I mean, the Wii U never actually got an Animal Crossing game,
Because the Wii U failed.
but yeah, it seems like they'd have to put one out now, since it's been, how many years since Animal Crossing New Leaf came out? 4?
It came out
5?
like 4 or 5 years
It's
ago.
been 4 or 5 years, but you have to remember that they also did the Animal Crossing Welcome Amiibo update only a year ago, so technically this iteration of the game is a year old. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't release an Animal Crossing until next December or spring 2019.
Huh.
But let's just think, the effort that had to be put in place for Welcome Amiibo was much less than for a mainline game.
That's true, since they were working off of a whole base game already, but, I mean, thinking about it, that could have been their way of just throwing on a new Animal Crossing, putting Animal Crossing back in the spotlight or the limelight for a little bit longer. So, yeah, I think a spring 2019 or holiday season 2018 might actually be a pretty decent bet for Animal Crossing.
Yeah. Plus they already have HD models for all the ones from Amiibo Festival. The game finally has a point.
Yeah, that's very true. Brooks, what about you? What games have you been playing recently?
Well, like everyone, I've been playing a ton of Super Mario Odyssey. like a
Yes.
ton, like nearly 50 hours, I think, in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm just
Oh yeah, aren't you the person who is trying to get every single moon without using motion controls? Or am I mistaken?
well, yeah, but that's a pretty easy thing when most of them obviously don't require it.
Right, but I personally have not played Super Mario Odyssey. That kind of game just isn't for me. But I have seen stuff online about people saying that the motion controls can get annoying, and it's annoying how lots of these things require motion controls. But I know you're trying to disprove that, right?
Well, I mean, I'm just gonna say right now, no one showed a moon that quote unquote requires motion controls that actually requires them. So, for the time being, just gonna say they're not mandatory at all to 100% the game.
All right. And then for me, I've still been playing a lot of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch, but also I just started playing Stardew Valley. Although I haven't really gotten too far into it. When I say I just started Stardew Valley, I literally mean all I've done so far is played the first day of it. I haven't actually done anything yet. So,
Does it live up to the hype?
I mean, I don't know. I haven't played enough of the game. I've probably played like a good 10, 15 minutes out of the game. And I think that's including like the whole intro cinematic and everything. Or it's not really a cinematic. It's just sort of like an introduction with music and
Cutscene.
text at the scene. But in Mario Kart 8, I think I've gotten spoiled on 200cc now because I'm trying to go through and play like the other modes, and like I never really touched mirror mode until yesterday actually, and it's just so much slower. I don't really enjoy it as much as playing 200cc, although I'm absolutely awful at 200cc.
Yeah, gotta go fast.
Yeah. Speaking of gotta go fast, Sonic Forces. Have any of you guys even considered getting the game?
Why would anyone consider getting that game?
I have
I
never.
don't know, don't you?
I've never played a Sonic game, and I will never play a Sonic game.
Not even Sonic Forces? I mean, it's the game where you can create your own OC.
Yeah, so
Yay.
Sonic games are, and I'll probably upset a lot of people by this saying this, but it's one of the biggest scams in the video game industry. And take this with a grain of salt, because I have not played a Sonic game, and nor is it the type of game that I would play. But year after year, it seems like Sonic and Sega releases a new game, and all they do is hype their fans up to experience a nostalgic experience. What Sonic used to be a really good series, and now it's just them hyping people up, getting them to purchase a new game every year that is inevitably set up to disappoint.
Dude, you just angered like the entire Sonic fan base.
Well, he did
Modern
preface
Sonic
it like
fan
that.
base.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like
It's true though.
at this point in time with Sonic Forces, I feel like it's flopping right now based on reviews and everything. I don't see where the nostalgia is coming from now. I mean, Sonic Mania obviously covered the 2D Sonic fan base, and like that was pretty good, and people obviously enjoyed that. People obviously want more of that. And then Sonic Forces, which was supposed to cover the Sonic fan base that likes 3D games like Generations or Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 to an extent. That was I don't know where the nostalgia is coming from there, when you can obviously go back and try playing Sonic Adventure 1 or Sonic Adventure 2 on, if you don't have an older system, you can buy it on Steam and play it there, and it definitely does
But-
not hold up.
One other thing, though, one of the devs of Sonic Forces, I think the lead of Sonic Team, said that going back to making another adventure game would be a step back for the series.
Well,
At least I think. I'm paraphrasing, but they said something along the lines of that.
that could be true. I mean,
After
obviously
Forces,
they haven't done the Chow Garden since then, and that would be something that I'm sure a lot of people would like. I feel like the Chow Garden could be, from like Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, could just be like a mobile game, and they could easily make that like a free-to-play game with a bunch of in-app purchases and stuff like that, just to cover that, since I feel like that's pretty easy. But beyond that, I would agree that moving back to Sonic Adventure 3 would be kind of, or like going to a Sonic Adventure 3 would be and playing like that would be kind of a step back. If you look at the controls of that game versus a game like Generations, or I even like Sonic Lost World, and I feel like Sonic Lost World had pretty snappy controls, but those controls were just wildly different from how people think Sonic games should have.
yeah, I mean, different people like different things. You can like Forces if you want to, but I just the game just looks really, really meh. So, I guess we'll move on to our first topic then. And for our first topic, we have the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Direct, which aired back on Wednesday, I believe, and had a bunch of information on the new Rare Blades, a $30 season pass, and an update to Breath of the Wild, which basically has a mission and costume based around the game.
Yeah. So I was looking
So-
into with this Xenoblade Chronicles 2 direct. I actually did not watch the full direct. I saw the summary of it, however, and it seems like they're really trying to place Xenoblade Chronicles 2 into the same niche as Breath of the Wild, and try to get that same audience, or at least part of the same audience, with like the Rex mission and costume. Well, in terms of other things regarding the game, like the $30 season pass, how do you guys feel about that? Because obviously Nintendo did that with Breath of the Wild. I don't think they did that with Super Mario Odyssey, however, right?
No, they have not done. I mean, Nintendo's starting to get more into season passes. They've been for the past 3 or so years after their first one in Mario Golf World Tour.
Was that really their first one?
Hey, yeah, $15 season pass.
Huh. Did not know that.
And I mean, since it was their season pass, they actually discounted the price of the game by $10.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
That makes sense. Why they would do that.
Yeah, for some goodwill, but
Yeah. Alec, what about you? How do you feel about this season pass, and what do you think this means for Nintendo's future?
Yeah, so I'm looking up what's included in the season pass right now, and I typically don't like season passes. It feels almost as if they're holding back from the game. They're enticing people to purchase what they could have put in the game. So it looks like you're gonna get helpful items for your adventure, new quest for the main game, new rare blade, face powerful enemies in a new challenge mode. And so the challenge mode is the one that really gets me, because we saw this not only with the Breath of the Wild DLC, but also Samus Returns, where, correct me if I'm wrong, but the hard mode in that game was locked behind an amiibo.
Very hard mode.
Was that?
Very hard.
Very
mode,
hard
I
mode.
believe.
Very hard mode. Okay.
Samus Returns had a hard mode, but like the very hard mode was locked behind amiibo.
Okay. So the expansion passes are okay to me if you're getting brand new story content, which is what's going to be delivered in about a year. They say autumn 2018. That's fine because that's something that they can create. That's something that people, if they want to choose to continue their experience with a game that they like, it'll give them more. It'll give the creator an opportunity to expand upon an idea that is successful. However, I don't like enticing people to get trinkets. I don't like the idea of
Like those small little bonuses, or
yeah,
just like that kind of stuff.
because what this is, and you said they started off with Mario Golf, which I did not know, but that's interesting because companies usually expound upon these ideas of DLC over time. So you always start small. Remember that Call of Duty 2 was one of the first games with DLC, and that was just map packs. And now you've gotten to a point where it's grown rapidly over the years, where you're getting these, new weapon skins, new coins. I don't play Call of Duty, but these are things that they don't hold much tangible value, but they're still enticing to get because it makes the end user feel special. And no matter what these people, no matter if you're against DLC or for DLC, you're going to be enticed to buy it if somebody else has it, because it adds a special element to the game that nobody else can experience. You are experiencing it. Anyway, I think this sets up a bad model for Nintendo. I actually thought that they were going to include DLC in Super Mario Odyssey. I'm thankful that they didn't. But what else is this going to look like in a year? I never thought that it would come to the day where Zelda would have cosmetic DLC that you had to purchase for, or a hard mode that you had to purchase. So, where I don't mind them doing brand new story content, the slippery slope is what I'm worried about, and it's just the way that companies are going to go. This is natural. As much as I'm going to complain about it, it's going to bring in money. I think Nintendo is going to dive deeper and deeper into DLC. I wouldn't be surprised if Mario Kart gets more DLC. And the question that I think you have to ask yourself is, what is the company holding back? And what can they actually offer? And after all, it is a business and it's a company, so
That's true. The only counterpoint I'd like to pose to that would be, what about with the rising costs of producing games or making games, and how that compares to inflation, where the cost of games has not risen with inflation. Although that isn't entirely true anymore, seeing as now we're getting games on the Switch that cost more than $60 purely because of the quote-unquote Switch tax from the cartridge.
I don't think any game that's $60 rose above. It's more like a $30 game rising to be $40 or something like that.
Right, so is $60 like the hard limit?
But still. I just think nobody has the gall to release a $70 game that isn't like a special edition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I do understand that argument, and it's actually a pretty good argument, because if you look at some of the data, if you look at what game developers are saying, the cost to produce a game has risen. Not only the cost to produce a game, but the cost to market these games has risen. And so I think you can use DLC smartly. You can create new adventures for those who want to experience the game. However, it all depends on what you provide in it, and if you're holding one aspect back that you could put in the original game, I don't like that practice naturally. And the other thing to argue against myself is Xenoblade Chronicles, according to my knowledge, is already a 60-hour game. That is a long, long time, and for that's going to take somebody a good year to complete. You could return to that game over and over for over a year. So there's already a lot of content there for the base user, so my argument against Xenoblade specifically doesn't really work, but if you're to look at a shorter game, and again, the slippery slope is where I have issues.
Right.
My only thing about all this is, I mean, Nintendo has technically held back DLC before launch, but that was for Splatoon 2 and ARMS, which were free. I think Nintendo's been careful on, making their DLC after, the full game is out. Making it extra, which I don't think is a bad thing.
Right, that makes sense. And also from a not so much game perspective, but more like a sort of basic economic perspective of games, or of just things in general. If a company is able to put less into a product and make their product cheaper to produce but still sell it at the same amount, I feel like it only makes sense for them to do so if people are still going to keep buying it. Producers and just companies in general are taking advantage of the fact that they can sell less for more.
Yeah, no, they totally are. And see, I can sit here and yell about DLC. Nothing's going to change. It's only going to get worse. It's the business model. They have full research done on DLC. It's an actual thesis in universities now across the globe. You can go online, look it up. It's a specific marketing technique that's only going to get worse.
I mean, Frank, I don't think DLC is really that bad of a thing. The real problem are microtransactions, but we're getting way off topic with this now.
Right, yeah. Let's get back onto with our next news topic, which is the announcement of Hulu on the and also the release of Hulu on the Nintendo Switch. It's available to download right now if you so want to. If you don't have it, and if you don't have it on your Switch, but you've got Hulu or are thinking about getting Hulu, download it. But after this episode, and it works just like the other versions of Hulu do. And do either of you two use Hulu?
I used to.
Alright.
Family had it, but yeah, we just kind of whatever. Netflix is better.
Alec, what about you?
I don't use Hulu. I don't use Netflix.
Alright, so this is sort of
Do you
just...
use any streaming?
So all of these types of streaming services would just be a little wasted on you then. It doesn't really appeal to you.
Yes, but here's the good news: is it's not about the streaming service, but it's about what else can they bring to the device as far as other services that I might be interested in. This opens a door, and it kind of brings up the topic of the Nintendo switched a little bit, and I don't want to say a beta phase, but it felt like a soft launch, and now that they're ramping up production for holiday, we just had the report that they're going to be making and shipping more units come spring 2018. This feels like the time that they're finally getting around to the hard launch of the Nintendo Switch.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Looking at the launch and the months since the Nintendo Switch has been released, I have to think about it like akin to Nintendo's release of Splatoon on the Wii U. It seems like they released sort of just the base with just the bare essentials, and then added content. In Splatoon, they added content, added modes to the game over the coming months after it was released, and then they eventually had a full game with all the weapons and everything. And then with the Nintendo Switch, it seems like they're doing sort of the same thing, or they're starting to hit the last sort of strides in finishing up with this soft launch with like Hulu coming onto the Switch, and I'm assuming that means services like Netflix or maybe even a YouTube app will be coming to the Switch. And with the paid online coming, what is it, January or February that the paid online comes?
Just early 2018.
Right, yeah. And with...
So probably January or February.
Yeah.
I feel that once the paid online comes out, we'll have like the big Nintendo Switch 5.0. Geez, we'd already be on 5.0 update. It'll like make the system.
Yeah, that seems
better.
like it would be the time for... That would be the actual end of the launch of the Nintendo Switch. That'll be when it's sort of a completed system, quote unquote, and then they can start focusing on adding non-essentials or what consumers wouldn't think as essentials to a modern console today.
Oh, so I just talking about what's essential on the console. I think there's kind of a question that's missing, that the Nintendo Switch is missing a lot of essential stuff that should come on a modern console. If you look at the 7th generation of consoles, we're in the 7th generation, right?
I think this is the
We're in, like,
8th.
the
Yeah,
eighth.
we're in the 8th generation, right? Think so, at least.
8th/9th.
But if you look at the Xbox One or the PS4, the two things that those have are they're all-in-one entertainment consoles. So on that, you can watch YouTube, you can watch Netflix, you can play video games, you can hook it up to your cable, you can run all of your entertainment through an Xbox One, not so much on a PS4, but the point is still, you can talk to friends. It is a very easy to use user interface. The Nintendo Switch doesn't offer that, which I think is one of the interesting things, that Nintendo is really successful because they make really good games. If you had the Nintendo Switch as a console, but you had it as the games on there weren't special or unique to that system, why would you buy it? Because it doesn't offer an all-in-one entertainment system. Yeah, it offers fun gimmicks, but gimmicks wear off. Gimmicks aren't, all the gimmicks in the Nintendo Switch will eventually wear off, just like the Wii gimmicks wore off, and other companies caught up to that. Nintendo puts a lot of pressure on the games that they have for the Switch, because you have quality games on the go.
Right, but there is something to be said about power in general, though. I feel like if you look at later, we're going to be talking about like all the upcoming games that are coming to the Switch. One of them, or like this week and next week, or some of them have already been released, like Doom, for example. Doom definitely got a graphical hit compared to the other versions of the game, and so...
Well, yeah, because the Switch isn't as powerful as the other versions.
Yeah, therefore it stands to reason that if a developer tried making a game even more complicated than Doom, with the same graphics as Doom, it just might not be able to come to the Switch because of power reasons. Alec, I think that's what...
Yeah, it's non-essential because, and one of the things that, and I'm not saying, the key point that I'm trying to make is that you can't communicate with people. There's certain things about the lack of communication with friends that that makes the Nintendo Switch an incomplete modern video game console. But that is right. How many people are going to use portability? And that's a really interesting survey I'd like to see, is over time, what's the flexibility? Are people going to actually use portable, or are they going to be like, you know what, I can just, I'd rather read a book, I'd rather do something else instead of having to hassle and take this? What is the percentage of market people out there that are actually interested in having a portable console, or is it something that's going to wear off?
There have been people that have done like these sort of preliminary surveys, seeing how many people use portability or docked or both, and I think it was actually skewed a little bit more towards either a hybrid or maybe portability. But again, we are still in the early days or the early stages of the Switch, and people are gonna want to use like the gimmicks of the of a new console as much as they can for a little while. But personally, I've only been using. Haven't played the game or haven't played my Switch undocked in months now, probably since maybe July or early August.
Hey, so in the recent investors meeting, Nintendo actually talked about the percentage of people playing in portable and docked mode, and in both modes. 20% of people play mostly in docked mode. 30% of people play mostly undocked. And then the remaining 50% plays in both modes.
That's true for now, but things change over time, and so we'll have to wait and see. I'd say it would be good to get more results next year around the same time, and maybe we'll go back and talk about this episode, see what's changed since then, and I guess what would be episode 40 something. Looking a little bit ahead, but yeah. But looking not so far ahead now, we've gotten quite a few releases on the Nintendo Switch and also just in like the Nintendo 3DS and stuff from Nintendo and third parties. On the Nintendo Switch, we have Doom, Snipper Clips Plus, LA Noire, Rocket League, and Skyrim. And on the Nintendo 3DS, we have Mario Party, the top 100. And I want to talk a little bit.
Not to mention Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon.
Oh, of course. How could we forget that? Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I think Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, those are the last two big releases from Nintendo on the Nintendo 3DS, right?
Hey, Sushi Strikers is going to be big.
Strikers? Oh, like, is there another Mario Strikers game coming?
Sushi Strikers? You know, you remember Sushi Strikers?
Ooh.
No one?
I think the fact that none of us remember it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
makes the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But first, before we get into the Nintendo Switch games, let's talk a little bit about Mario Party, the top 100, since that seems to be a little controversial. I don't know if it's by the sheer fact that it's not a full Mario Party game, or by the sheer fact that it's on the Nintendo 3DS.
By the sheer fact it's not on the Switch.
Not on the Switch. So what are your guys' thoughts on it? Alec, let's start with you.
So I was really excited when this game got announced at the last Direct. This is something that I've wanted for a long time. However, the more that you actually look at the implementation of the idea, it kind of removes the incentive. I'm not going to be getting it, because there's no board. There's only one board in the game. There's only there's a couple different game modes, but it takes the intrinsic value of competing with others and utter chaos out, because the mini games are only a part of the factors. They're a part to the formula. They are not the formula itself. The formula of Mario Party is to compete with friends in utter chaos and have anything go wrong. Minigames were a way to get coins, which was a way to get stars. So this is a really nice collection. I like the idea. It's a good idea for $20, I think, but for a full $40 game, I'm not going to be purchasing it. I can just dig out the old GameCube and play the Mario Party games on there and have the same experience.
Yeah. I think, the fun of it was, like, your opponent is 2 spaces away from the star and needs 10 coins. So, you need to keep them from getting 10 coins in the minigame. That was just the big appeal of Mario Party.
Yeah, personally...
That's now kind of missing.
I thought the big appeal of Mario Party was more so the mini clips of the mini games of within the game, and not so much the board itself, and I think that's what Nintendo thought the game was as well, which is why they moved to the whole formula where everybody is on a cart and everyone's moving together instead of having that total chaos insanity. But it seems to me that isn't the case. It seems like the whole insanity, Alex, that you were talking about, that is the appeal and draw of Mario Party. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Mario Party is fun because of the chaos.
I would love if they just remade Mario Party 8 the best Mario Party game.
Well, I don't want to get into what everybody's favorite Mario Party game is right now. I feel like that's going to be
Yeah,
that's going to take a whole
running
episode.
on long enough.
Yeah. But yeah, let's go on to talking about Doom, LA Noire, and Skyrim. Those are three mature games that are being released onto the Nintendo Switch by third parties. Games from developers that clearly skipped over the Wii U and even the Wii. Brooks, have you played? I know you're mostly a Nintendo kind of guy, but have you played any of these games, Doom, LA Noire, or Skyrim, before?
I don't think my parents would let me. Skyrim or not Doom anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. Skyrim
Just
is
because,
probably one of the games that I played a lot of back in the day. Not really back in the day, but a few years ago. I used to always...
Yeah.
I played a lot of it on the Xbox 360, and then on my PC, I used to always throw up a new Skyrim character, Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim character on the PC every single summer. And I tried getting into Oblivion, the fourth one. I played through Oblivion for a little while, but I always kept moving back to Skyrim since that was the first game I played.
Yeah.
I don't know, for you, I'd recommend
And-
playing that game since it's definitely a good game that you should try.
It's just Bethesda. Before Doom and Skyrim had put out a grand total of 3 games on Nintendo platforms.
What were those 3 games?
3.
Or before Doom and Skyrim? What
Yeah.
were those 3 games?
I don't remember what they were. I mean, just from the previous number of Nintendo consoles, they put on 3. And now on the Switch alone, already, they've announced 3.
Well,
Which is
I was under the
kinda
impression
crazy.
that Bethesda hasn't actually released any games onto any Nintendo system, but obviously I'm looking through the Wikipedia page now, and I'm looking and I see from Bethesda Softworks, Star Trek Tactical Assault on the Nintendo DS, Star Trek Conquest, and Takati Moto. And I mean, Star Trek Conquest is on the Wii, and Takati Moto is also on the Nintendo DS. And since then, it seems to be the only 3 games that they've released onto the system. You're right. Until Doom and Skyrim. Yeah. So I don't know. I've never even heard of the game Takati Moto. It seems to be a racing game with bikes and things like that. And they all just seem to be smaller, lower budget games. You're right. And I think it's pretty cool.
But now they're
coming.
But now they're bringing their big guns.
Oh yeah. But personally, I'm a little more hyped for Rocket League coming out onto the Nintendo Switch.
Yes. Rocket League.
Yeah, I played a lot of that last year, and so I'd like to start playing it again. And it seems like this is the perfect opportunity for me to get back into the game and give me a fresh start. So I'm no longer an expert or whatever with the skills of a novice in the game.
Yeah, I've never played Rocket League, but I'm definitely gonna pick it up day one. And plus, I mean, there's cross-platform play with Xbox One and PC, so...
Yeah, That's true.
Yeah, tons of people to play with.
I'm a little sad that PlayStation didn't get to join in on this, or Sony didn't allow the PlayStation to join in on this crossplay, but I guess that's to be expected. I mean, they're currently the top dogs.
Hey,
There's no need for them to do that.
It's for the children.
Uh-huh. And now we'll get into our last topic on the subreddit. This made some waves on the Nintendo subreddit. It got over 15,000 upvotes, and that was Capcom announcing that they are making an Ace Attorney game for the Nintendo Switch. And I see, Brooks, you put into our document that it's Capcom's finally doing something that's not a port of a 25-year-old game. It's been too long since Capcom made a not 25-year-old port for the brand new Nintendo Switch. And so it's releasing in 2018. And do you have any experience playing playing Ace Attorney, Brooks?
I have not, but I hear the games are good. I mean, it seems they definitely have a very dedicated fan base, seeing the title of the post. Capcom is making an Ace Attorney game for Nintendo Switch! In all caps.
Yeah, in all caps, of course. And so you know the subreddit's just gonna eat it up. I ate it up. I want to play Ace Attorney on the Switch. The first Ace Attorney game that I got like the Ace Attorney trilogy, but that was on the iPod Touch back in over 5 years ago now. And so I haven't actually played Ace Attorney since then. And I'm on Android now, and I've been on Android for like 4 years. So I didn't really get much time to play Ace Attorney.
Well, now on the Switch we'll finally have the chance to play throughout objections and stuff.
Yes, of course. Objection.
Yeah, Ace Attorney is I haven't played an actual Ace Attorney game, but I've played a demo of it when I was at PAX West. I forget what one was coming out. It's a fun game if you enjoy thinking through video games, if you like putting together logic puzzles, and if you enjoy a quirky, just complete over-the-top story. It's probably
like
a game
my
that
kind
you
of game.
enjoy.
Yeah, for sure. And it's more so of it can be seen akin as, like, say, a more in-depth visual novel, I'd say, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's an okay way to put it.
Yeah, besides like the whole puzzle aspect. Although I know that there was an Ace Attorney game on the Nintendo 3DS that wasn't released here, or in the States. I mean, it was released in Japan. It had something to do with Sherlock Holmes, I
The
believe.
Great Detective Ace Attorney, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, I would have hoped to see that coming to the West as well. But I mean, a brand new game. That's great.
They better bring it over to the West, though. That and Monster Hunter.
All right. Oh yes, Monster Hunter. That's definitely gonna be coming soon.
They're adding video capture support to Monster
Right.
Hunter Switch, but they're not adding English release support.
I cannot wait for Monster Hunter on the Switch. That's going to be a great title.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, that about wraps it up, and I'd like to thank our hosts, Alec and Brooks, for joining me today, and you all for listening to us. Do you guys have any social media you'd like people to find you at?
You can find me at Haynes_LWOS. That's my Twitter handle, and you can get lots of different sports takes there. You can get different political stuff. You can get Nintendo stuff. It's a whole mixed bag of different fun facts. So, yeah, come at me and yell at me for hating on Sonic or hating on some other
I'll go do that.
game that you enjoy.
Alright, and personally for me, I'm not too big on that much social media besides Reddit, so I guess You can hunt through my profile. You'll find me removing a lot of posts, approving a lot of posts on Reddit, on various subreddits, but that's about it for me. Well, anyway, next time we'll discuss the other question asked since the dawn of time. Where's Melee HD? See y'all next time on Hello Nintendo.
Hello, Nintendo.